In 30 years of wearing the green and gray, I worked 17 missing persons cases in the backcountry. 16 of them, we found something: a body, a boot, a torn jacket, something. Case number 17. The tent was empty, and it had been zipped from the outside. This is The Last Ranger, Story 12. It was the last week of September. The year doesn't matter, long time ago. Glacier doesn't see much foot traffic that late in the season. The high passes are already turning. The huckleberry brush goes red overnight. Bears are pushing hard for the last calories before they den up. Most of the permit hikers are gone by then. The ones who stay, they know what they're doing. The hiker, I'll call him Caleb, had a permit for a 4-night loop out of Bowman Lake, up to Boulder Pass, over the divide, down to Hole in the Wall, then back. 2,000 vertical feet a day, easy water, fully scouted. He'd done that loop 3 times before. When he checked in at the desk Monday morning, he told the ranger on duty, and I quote, "If you don't hear from me by Friday at noon, I'll buy you a coffee." He had a satellite messenger, one of those little orange bricks that pings your GPS every 15 minutes when it's on. He used it. We had check-ins from the lake, from the climb up to Brown Pass, from his first camp. Tuesday morning, he sent a routine all good from the saddle. Tuesday night, nothing. That by itself doesn't mean anything. Devices die. Cold drains batteries. People forget to push the button. We don't scramble for a quiet messenger. Not yet. But Wednesday morning came, and the device stayed dark. And Wednesday afternoon, and Wednesday night. I was the closest ranger to his last known ping. So Thursday, at first light, I went up. It's a long climb to Boulder Pass from the lake, about 8 miles, depending on how you cut the switchbacks. I packed light, radio, first aid, a bivvy in case the weather turned, 2 days of food. I figured the worst case was a sprained ankle, and the worst case was a bear. I didn't think empty tent. The weather was clean. That's the word for it. Cold, dry, no wind. The kind of morning where you can hear a ground squirrel chatter half a mile off. But the closer I got to the saddle, the quieter it got. I want to be careful how I describe this, because every ranger who's done this work has felt it, and we don't have good words for it. It isn't fear, it isn't dread, it's an absence. The forest, when something is moving through it that shouldn't be, goes still in a particular way. I noticed it about 2 miles below his camp. The chickadees stopped, then the squirrels. Then there were no birds at all, no flies, no marmots whistling off the talus. I stopped twice on the climb to listen. The second time, I keyed my radio, just to hear another human voice. Dispatch crackled back, told me wind was light, no weather inbound, no other parties on the loop. I told her I'd check in from camp. I didn't. His camp was set up at the lower bench, just where the trail flattens before the final climb to the pass. Standard backcountry site, Bear pole, old fire ring. A view down the valley you'd hang on your wall. I saw the tent from 100 yards off. Orange, 3-season, tucked behind a stand of pine, the way an experienced hiker tucks one, out of the wind, off the obvious sight line. It was zipped. I called his name from the edge of the sight. I called it 3 times. I gave it a full minute between calls, the way you're supposed to, so that a person who stepped away to relieve themselves has time to answer. Nothing answered. I want you to picture this with me, because it's the picture I can't get rid of. The bear bag was hung properly, tied off with the right knot, weight balanced, 10 feet up, 4 feet out. His stove was on a flat rock by the ring, with the canister still threaded on. His cookpot was clean. His water filter was bagged. His boots were inside the vestibule, both of them, laces still tied, pointed toes in, the way a tired person kicks them off before crawling into bed. I went around the tent slowly, once, before I touched it. That's when I saw the prints. There were 2 sets of tracks on the bench. The ground was soft from a frost the night before, the kind of soft that holds a print like wet sand. The first set was his. I knew his boots because I'd seen the soles when he'd checked in 3 days earlier. Vibram, size 11, a chip out of the right heel. Those tracks came up the trail from below. Walked the perimeter of the campsite twice, the way you do when you're picking a tent spot, and went into the tent. They did not come back out. The second set was bigger. Boot, not bear. Lugged sole I didn't recognize. They came down off the talus above the bench, not from the trail, from the slope. They walked straight to his tent and stopped at the door and went back the same way, up onto the talus where boot prints don't take. I followed the second set as far as I could. They went about 30 yards uphill onto the loose rock, and they were gone. No drag mark, no return. And here is the part that I have never gotten an answer for. Not from any tracker, not from any search and rescue veteran who came up the next day, not from my own 30 years of looking at ground. The second set of prints walked into the campsite. They did not walk out. I finally opened the tent. I'm telling you this so you have the full picture. His sleeping bag was unzipped. His headlamp was on the bag, switched off. His journal was open, pen across the page. Last entry dated the previous evening, describing the climb, describing his dinner, describing nothing wrong. The zipper of the tent door was on the outside. A man does not zip himself out of his own tent. We had dogs on the bench by Friday morning, 2 canine teams. Both refused to track. One of them lay down at the tent door and would not move. The handler, a woman who has worked over 400 wilderness searches, told me quietly that the dog had never done that, ever. We had air support by Friday afternoon, ground teams by Saturday. We grid searched the bench, the talus, the drainages on both sides of the pass, every snowmelt creek for 6 miles. We pulled the registers from every site on the loop. We interviewed every party that had been within 20 miles of him in the previous week. No body, no boot, no torn jacket, nothing. The case is technically still open. It will be for another 15 years before it's archived. His family had a memorial without a casket. His sister still emails the park every spring asking if anything has come down with the melt. Nothing has. People ask me sometimes, and I don't talk about this case often, but when I do, they ask what I think happened. I tell them I don't know. What I don't tell them usually is that I went back up to Boulder Pass the next summer, on my own time, to look at that bench in daylight, in a different season, with a clear head. The campsite was exactly the way we'd left it after we pulled his gear, except for one thing. The bear pole had been used. There was rope wear on the crossbar, new, fresh. Sap on the trunk where somebody had hauled a bag up. I had been the last person to use that pole. We had pulled every gram of his food out of the bag ourselves the summer before. And there was no other permit issued for that site the entire season. I checked. Somebody hung a bear bag at his camp, and nobody had been there. Names, locations, and identifying details have been changed to protect the privacy of those involved and their families. I worked 17 missing persons cases. 16 of them we found something. Case number 17 is the one I still don't sleep about. This is The Last Ranger, Story 12. Walk safe out there.